So excited about what is happening with the Fever. And you look down the hall with the Pacers organization and the outpouring of support that we get from Kevin and from Chad and Rick and Jenny and the players really showing up.
Look like Amber Cox has leaked some information to Fever insiders, letting them know the plans for the roster for the 2026 season.
The Indiana Fever recently announced major contract developments for Clark and Sophie Cunningham, but the true story is a figure they'd rather you didn't see. What's hidden in the fine print isn't a celebration, it's a massive league-wide scandal proving that the WNBA's biggest star is being systematically forced out by its own regulations. The front office understands it cannot afford to lose the woman who single-handedly saved their franchise, yet the antiquated system is attempting to pay her a mere fraction of her value. It's a wild power struggle unfolding right now, and its consequences could reshape professional women's basketball permanently. This is not just about two players, this is about a league at a crossroads, made to face decades of underpayment, obsolete collective bargaining agreements, and the rising threat of rival leagues ready to steal its brightest talents. The Fever are at ground zero of a crisis that could either revolutionize the WNBA or tear it apart from within.
Basically, Amber Cox called up Adam Sandler in the movie Hustle and said, hey, we need some scouts overseas.
Set aside the headlines for a minute, and let's discuss the cold hard cash. Clark, the player who delivered a $36 million economic impact to Indianapolis and broke viewership records, is on a rookie deal that pays a stunningly low $78,000 this year. Let that sink in for a second. $78,000. That paltry sum is less than an entry-level salary in most major cities. A reality so offensive it's almost criminal, considering she books $100,000 for each speaking engagement in the off-season.
Amber Cox. All right, so Amber Cox ended up getting a question asked to her. With all the things going on with the CBA, you're sitting in the dark. How do they prepare? How do you prepare specifically for all-season events they don't have information on, right? Because they are in the dark. They don't know what's going to happen. We don't even know if 2026 is going to be of.
The sheer injustice of her current contract lit a fire under the Fever's front office, prompting a radical move that could rewrite the rules. Word leaked from the Fever's camp that they are secretly crafting an unprecedented proposal, a revenue-sharing deal for clubs. Imagine that, giving a player a percentage of the team's profits. It's a concept that's common practice in other professional sports, where superstars regularly negotiate for shares of ticket sales, merchandise, and even broadcasting rights. But in the WNBA, this would be absolutely revolutionary. This is a desperate strategy to circumvent the current collective bargaining agreement's ridiculously low salary cap. The Fever are essentially trying to maneuver around a system that was never built to handle a player of Clark's magnitude. They are proposing something that has never been attempted in WNBA history, a hybrid compensation package that would include her standard CBA salary plus a percentage of revenue tied directly to her performance and drawing power. Sources close to the talks suggest the deal could include revenue shares from ticket sales, local broadcast rights, and a cut of the increased sponsorship deals that have poured in since Clark joined the team. The math is persuasive. If Clark gets even a small 5% share of the additional revenue she has generated, she could be earning several $1 million a year, a number that would finally align with her actual market value. But this is where things get tricky. This is an all-or-nothing gamble, effectively betting the Fever's entire future on whether league owners will approve the first non-CBA superstar contract in WNBA history. If they approve it, a precedent is set that could demolish the whole salary structure. Every other star in the league would instantly demand similar deals. The small market teams that barely break even would be at an even bigger disadvantage. The league's carefully guarded competitive balance, a cornerstone of the WNBA's philosophy, could disintegrate overnight. And if the league rejects the deal, the Fever would face the real prospect of losing Clark to overseas leagues, to the unrivaled league, or watching her walk away from professional basketball entirely to focus on her much more lucrative endorsements and speaking engagement. It is a lose-lose situation born from years of financial limits and cautious management, and what happened next would shock everyone.
And I think she was just saying how Kelsey Mitchell is their #1 priority, same as this year, right? In my opinion, man, I think the main thing that they need to focus on after getting your core back, I think you need to focus on a stretch 4 or a stretch 5. If you could get 2 of them, that would be grand. But a defensive stretch 4, stretch 5, that would be perfect.
But the contract drama doesn't stop with Clark. Vocal veteran Sophie Cunningham, a key voice on the Fever roster, and Clark's staunchest defender, is now an unrestricted free agent. The shocking fact is there's been no confirmation of her return, which leaves the Fever in a truly terrible position. Cunningham is not just another player. She is the voice of frustrated WNBA athletes who are fed up with being undervalued and ignored. Cunningham has been outspoken in her anger, using her platform to call the WNBA commissioner delusional for allegedly minimizing Clark's star power and openly criticizing the league's harsh rules that fine players for speaking their mind. She has called out the hypocrisy of a league that promotes player personality and authenticity, while also threatening huge fines for anyone who dares to critique officiating, league policies, or front office decision. Her social media presence is a rallying point for players across the league who feel muzzled by outdated rules and management that seems more focused on maintaining control than on fostering growth. She has posted screenshots of fine notices, shared stories from other penalized players, and built a following that goes far beyond just basketball fans. She has become a symbol of player empowerment in a league that has historically opposed giving athletes a real say in their own destinies. This isn't a standard free agent negotiation. This is a star player leveraging her platform to demand change before she even thinks about re-signing with the team. Cunningham has made it plain through interviews and social media that her decision won't just be about money, though she is also certainly underpaid. She is seeking systemic change. She wants the league to stop fining players for being authentic. She wants revenue sharing. She wants the WNBA to function like a modern professional sports league instead of clinging to the structures from its 1996 founding. The Fever are trapped in an impossible situation. They need Cunningham's leadership, her defensive prowess, and her chemistry with Clark, but they are unable to promise her the changes she is demanding, as those decisions are made at the league level, not by individual teams. They're effectively asking her to return and trust that things will get better, while she is demanding concrete action before she signs on the dotted line, and the pressure on the league is about to intensify. Both Clark's and Cunningham's futures are tied to a ticking clock. The WNBA's collective bargaining agreement is nearing expiration, raising the very real, terrifying possibility of a lockout or a players' strike. The current CBA was negotiated in 2020 amid the pandemic, when players had little leverage and were desperate just to have a season. Many players and agents now see it as a disaster that locked in subpar salaries and restrictive rules at the worst possible time. With expiration looming, tensions are higher than ever. Players have been meeting privately, organizing and getting ready for what might be the most contentious labor negotiation in the history of the WNBA. They are not just asking for small improvement, they are demanding a complete overhaul of how the league is run. They want higher salary caps, true revenue sharing, relaxed rules on outside income, fewer fines for expressing their views, and guaranteed minimum salaries that allow players to live comfortably without needing overseas contracts or off-season jobs. Making matters even more tense, a significant rival, the Unrivaled League, has appeared, offering players salaries 3 times higher than the WNBA average for a mere 8-week season. Unrivaled is not some temporary venture. It's supported by serious investors, co-founded by WNBA stars Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, and has already signed over 30 of the league's top players for its first season. They are offering salaries beginning at $100,000 for just 8 weeks of play, plus equity in the league, revenue sharing, and total freedom to build their personal brands without any restriction. For Clark, who has already made millions outside the WNBA from endorsements with Nike, Gatorade, State Farm, and many other brands, and for Cunningham, who is tired of being underpaid and silenced, this is a very viable exit strategy. They could play in Unrivaled, earn significantly more money in less time, endure less travel and physical strain, and still keep all their endorsement deals and outside business ventures. The rival league isn't just a threat, it's proof that the WNBA is losing the high-stakes financial war for its own talent. The irony is staggering. The WNBA spent decades building women's professional basketball, developing players, creating a fan base, and establishing its legitimacy. Now, just as the league is finally getting mainstream attention and generating real revenue, it is at risk of losing its stars to a competitor that is simply willing to pay them their market value. It is a crisis entirely of the league's own making, resulting from years of conservative financial management and a resistance to change. But the Fever's internal drama just took another turn. Amid the silence from the front office, the franchise player herself took action. Caitlin Clark went on Cunningham's social media and left a 5-word comment, "Time to run it back." Those 5 simple words became instant national news, analyzed by every sports pundit, shared millions of times, and read as everything from a recruiting pitch to a declaration of loyalty to a subtle critique of league management. It was a direct, public statement, a call for unity from the star to her free agent teammate, demonstrating that the players' commitment to each other is stronger than their commitment to the league's broken system. Clark did not go through official channels. She did not coordinate with the front office or get her message approved by PR. She just went directly to her teammate and made her position clear for the whole world to see. The comment revealed something vital about the power dynamics in play. The players are no longer waiting for permission. They are not quietly hoping that league executives will eventually do the right thing. They are organizing, communicating, and building a solidarity that goes beyond individual contracts or team loyalty. Clark's public message to Cunningham was as much a statement to the league as it was to her teammate. The players are unified, and they will not be divided by management's tactics or financial limitations. This move confirmed the internal culture war. The players are choosing their family, and the front office is struggling to meet the demands. Social media erupted with support from players across the league, with many adding their own comments to reinforce the message. It became a moment of collective player empowerment, a clear demonstration that the old power structure, where teams and leagues held all the influence, is fundamentally changing. The question now is whether the Fever's GM can successfully navigate the most treacherous contract negotiations in league history, or if the entire WNBA is about to lose its biggest star and its most loyal soldier. The GM, Kelly Krauskopf, is a veteran executive who helped build the Fever into a championship contender before, but she has never encountered anything like this. She is stuck between players demanding radical change, league executives who resist disrupting the status quo, team ownership that wants to keep its stars but cannot unilaterally alter league-wide policies, and fans who simply want their team to stay together and contend for championships. Every choice has massive repercussions. Approve the revenue-sharing deal for Clark, and you risk destabilizing the entire league's economic structure while setting a precedent that could bankrupt small-market teams. Reject it, and you watch your franchise player leave for opportunities that will actually pay her fairly. Bring Cunningham back without meeting her demands, and you risk locker room turmoil and public backlash. Let her go, and you lose a vital veteran leader and one of Clark's closest allies. Behind closed doors, the discussions are reportedly heated. Ownership groups are split. Some owners see that the league must evolve or die, that paying stars their actual market value is the only sustainable way forward. Others are concerned about the financial implications, about teams that cannot afford to compete in a new high-salary environment, and about losing the competitive balance that has defined the WNBA. League officials are scrambling to offer options, floating ideas about potential compromise solutions, tiered salary caps based on market size, luxury tax systems like the NBA's, expanded revenue sharing from national TV deals, or even letting individual teams negotiate certain bonuses outside the CBA framework. But every proposal has complications, unintended consequences, and staunch opposition from various stakeholders. The next few months will decide the future of the WNBA. If they can find a way to fairly compensate their stars, adapt to the modern sports world, and give players a genuine voice in league governance, the WNBA could enter a new era of prosperity. Clark's star power, combined with growing media coverage and fan engagement, could finally lift women's basketball to the level it deserved. But if the league stays rigid, holding on to obsolete structures and refusing to accept the new reality, they risk losing not just Clark and Cunningham, but a whole generation of stars who have options their predecessors never dreamed of. The emergence of unrivaled and potential future rival leagues means players no longer have to take inadequate pay just for the privilege of playing professional basketball in the United States. The stakes could not be higher. This is not just about two contracts or one team. This is about whether the WNBA can evolve fast enough to survive in an increasingly competitive market. This is about whether the league that pioneered professional women's basketball will be the one that continues to lead it, or if its conservative approach and resistance to change will let more innovative competitors seize the moment. For Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and the Indiana Fever, the waiting continued. Lawyers are drafting proposals, agents are crunching numbers, players are having private talks about solidarity and leverage, and fans are watching anxiously, hoping the league they love finds a way to keep the stars who have finally brought it the attention it deserves. The Indiana Fever contract crisis is truly the WNBA's reckoning, and its outcome will define the next decade of women's professional basketball. The Indiana Fever recently announced major contract developments for Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham, but the true story is a figure they'd rather you didn't see. What's hidden in the fine print isn't a celebration, it's a massive league-wide scandal, proving that the WNBA's biggest star is being systematically forced out by its own regulations. The front office understands it cannot afford to lose the woman who single-handedly saved their franchise, yet the antiquated system is attempting to pay her a mere fraction of her value. It's a wild power struggle unfolding right now, and its consequences could reshape professional women's basketball permanently. This is not just about two players. This is about a league at a crossroads, made to face decades of underpayment, obsolete collective bargaining agreements, and the rising threat of rival leagues ready to steal its brightest talent. The Fever are at ground zero of a crisis that could either revolutionize the WNBA or tear it apart from within. Set aside the headlines for a minute, let's discuss the cold, hard cash. Caitlin Clark, the player who delivered a $36 million economic impact to Indianapolis and broke viewership records, is on a rookie deal that pays a stunningly low $78,000 this year. Let that sink in for a second. That paltry sum is less than an entry-level salary in most major cities. A reality so offensive it's almost criminal when she's getting $100,000 per speaking engagement in the off-season. Consider that contrast. A single speech, 1 hour of her time, is worth more than her entire annual WNBA salary. An agent even admitted that Clark may never be compensated for what she's truly worth by the WNBA. The league's greatest asset is a walking, talking advertisement for its gross pay disparity. She sells out arenas, sends television ratings soaring, and moves merchandise faster than it can be stocked. Yet she's earning less than a mid-level corporate manager. The economics are breathtaking when you examine them. Clark's presence has boosted Fever ticket sales by over 300%. Television viewership for games has leaped from an average of